Welcome, everybody. This is the Committee of Adjustments meeting for the Township of Center Wellington on April 20th, 2022. I'd like now to call the meeting to order. I'd like to ask if any members of the committee have any disclosure of pecuniary interest or other conflicts of interest. Okay, I'm seeing none. And we will move to confirm the minutes from the previous meeting. Can I get somebody to move that motion? Thank you, Aaron. And somebody to second that motion? Thank you, Kathy. And by show of hands, all in favor of that motion? Okay, the motion is carried. And we'll move to the first application on the agenda today. The first application on the agenda is, excuse me, file A005-2022. The property is located at 377 Geddes Street in Elora. Relief is being requested to permit an accessory apartment in a detached building with an increased floor area of 123 square meters, as opposed to the permitted maximum of 100 square meters, and to permit an increase to the maximum height of 6.5 meters as opposed to the maximum permitted height of 4.6 meters or 15.1 feet. And the effect of the variance is to permit the construction of an accessory apartment in a detached building. Chantel, can you confirm that signage has been posted at the property?
Yes, I can confirm that the sign was posted in accordance with the Planning Act requirements for this application.
Okay, thank you for confirming. I'd like now to ask the applicant or the agent for the applicant to speak on behalf of this request.
Hi, I'm Cecily Heslett. I am the applicant. I have never done this before, so I'm sure I will. I think I probably just need you to ask me questions. Is there something specific you want to know, or what
Yeah,
would
if
you
you
like
could
me to explain?
just maybe give us a little bit of background of why you're seeking this request.
Sure. Thank you. I appreciate the guidance. My husband and I and our 4 kids live on Matheson Street, just around the corner from, we call it the Stone House. I always admired it, and when it came up for sale, I think it was the summer of 2018. We bought it. We renovated it the following, I don't remember if we started in the fall or the spring. Centrix Home Builders, who I would imagine you're aware of, are very good friends of ours. Seth is a very good friend of ours. So he managed that, and he will also be the person who will build the garage for us. I sleep well when Seth does work for us because everything is always done so well. So we renovated it and then rented it out to a family in July of 2019, and they are still there. And I don't think they have any intention of leaving. They're very happy. They know that we would like to build the garage. That was sort of always I think when we first bought it, we thought, maybe doing an addition or whatever. We weren't exactly sure, but the plan is for quite a while has been to see if we could build another a garage with an apartment that's large enough to be a home for people. And the property has, in our opinion, has lots of space, and to make still two very nice homes on one property, really. Yeah, the intention is to rent it out. We have, as I said, 4 children. Our oldest is 23. Our next is 20. The 2 of them are vying for it. So whether or not they move in, or a young couple, we know from church, I was sort of hoping, or just rent it out, find somebody who would like to live there. That's the intention. I don't know if that answers your questions. Is there?
That's perfect. Great. No, yeah, before we move on to questions from members of the committee to you, I'll just make a note here that we did receive an image of what the proposed garage will look like. So thank you for providing that.
Yes. Yeah, that just came from, we really like the plan. I don't think there's any our designer Greg Belfort has, as you see from the elevation that he's drawn, I think he sort of has it bumped out a bit to the south on the side, as opposed to the drawing that I've sent you. I wasn't exactly sure which order to do things in. We've been a bit busy. And so I thought, well, let's find out what you think before we do detailed plans. But I understand that many people do detailed plans first and then come to you. So, but we really like this plan. And so the intention would be to be very close to it.
Great.
Small changes, yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Well, we'll move now to see if there's any questions from members of the committee for you. Do we have any questions at this time? Yes, Aaron?
Curious if the property owner at 381, if you've engaged with those people and if they're generally in support of the change. I know that there was the sign was posted and they had an opportunity to flag any concerns, but I'm just wondering if you've had any conversation with them.
Yeah, I'm assuming 381 is to the south. Is that the house on the other side of? So the answer is no, I haven't. And we met when we met most of the people when we first bought the place and renovated it in the new, but I haven't approached them, only because I'm just a bit run off my feet lately, but I'm quite happy to do that. Now, is 381 then towards town? Are they the people on the other side of Queen Street? Or is it
They are towards Salem.
So to the north of Salem, like to the north, is the old Pentecostal church that's a series of apartments. I believe so. I have not spoken to anybody there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do we have any more questions?
I'll just interrupt on that one just to follow up with Aaron's question, is that I did have an email from the owner of 381. He didn't note any concerns, and I had forwarded him more details of the application, including the elevations and site plan drawing, and didn't hear anything back. So just so that you're aware of that, that information has flowed to that owner.
Okay.
Great,
Thank you. I've never met I've met residents there just in passing. I haven't met the owner. I have met the owner to the south and the house that's at the end of Queen Street. If you know what I mean, behind the house that fronts onto Geddes. Yeah, so we've met, but I haven't told him about the plan.
Okay, great. Do we have any? Yes, Fernando?
Yeah, this is a question for the applicant or maybe for staff. I'm looking at the proposal and I'm looking at an easement. And I was just curious because I was looking at the street view. And is there any existing underground infrastructure there?
I can answer that. There's a grinder pump towards the end of the easement. It's not marked exactly where it is, but I know it's kind of across from the little, there's an extension or an addition out the back of the stone house. So there's a grinder pump sort of directly across, it's in that sort of area. So I believe the easement is for the piping for the grinder pump.
Okay, thank you.
But that's just my understanding.
What exactly would the grinder pump be for? Do you know?
It's for the sewage. It's to get the sewage to the street. And it seemed to me that I don't understand these things. It flows downhill. So I thought, I don't understand why it's necessary, but I'm told that it is necessary and it's not going anywhere. It's really hard for us to move it, and we could move it forward a little bit. I'm also told it's expensive, but we could move it forward a little bit. But as you can see where the easement goes, it goes right into the driveway. So we can't go very far or we're into the driveway. And if we were to try to move it to the other side of the house, it's close to the creek and everything. So the intention, part of the reason why the garage is not attached in the plan is because we can't cross the easement and the grinder pump is right in the way. If we were to ever try to build an extension on the back of the stone house, which is just kind of there's no plan for it, but if we were, then we would maybe consider trying to move the grinder pump slightly forward so it was slightly out of the way. But the intention of putting the garage back farther is to keep it off of the easement, and also to allow for a bit more parking in the front of the garage.
Great.
Thank you.
Janice, did you still have a question? You're on mute.
Sorry. I know that the application is two-part. It's to increase the size of the apartment, but then it's also then the height. So you need the extra height. Like it can't be met at all.
My understanding is with the limitation, and this is where Mariana or Chantal, who know the bylaws better, think it's short enough that it would be impossible to do a second story, I think, and actually have it a livable second story, is my understanding
Okay.
with the current bylaw. But is that correct, Mariana?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's correct. So the current limit is 4.6 meters. So it's very difficult to get a full second story in that height.
Okay. Okay. I just, yeah. Okay. Good. Thank you.
Yes, Kathy?
I just have one question on the diagram that we have. It almost looks like there are two structures by the easement, and I'm just assuming that, I'm not sure you have a picture of that, but I'm just assuming that that's just the one garage, not two buildings. Yes, it looks like there are two.
Yes. So the way that our designer oriented this rectangle was not sort of our original discussion, but I think he just wanted to get the square footage in there. Our plan at the moment is just to have one long rectangle. And really, I think the reason for the darker shading at the back is just to distinguish, that's like the main floor of the apartment. So the front, it is one structure, but the front slab is for the vehicles. And then the back darker area, which, as I said, I don't think would jut out, but would be just kind of a straight rectangle, unless it was maybe to have a bit of entrance or something. As I said, we haven't adjusted the plan currently to the one that I sent you, the photograph drawing. That would be the main floor of the apartment. So that would has the kitchen and the living area, the dining area, and then upstairs, you know, as you can see from the plan, 2 bedrooms and a bathroom upstairs.
Thank you.
Great, thanks. I have a couple of questions as well, just in regards to the size of the existing garage. Do you happen to know the current height of that?
It's short. It's just one story and a little roof. So very short.
And then my second question was regarding the tree buffer sort of along the property line. Is that going to be maintained with the new garage?
That's a very good question. I honestly can't picture right now exactly what's there. I feel like we have sort of cedars and things along there. And I think that, I guess I just don't honestly know. I like the idea of the privacy for everybody. We could consider making the garage smaller if it's encroaching. I'm sorry, I just can't really picture right now, because I know you can kind of see the side of the garage from the Salem apartments, from the apartment building. So the answer is I just don't think I have an answer. The other possibility is that we push it back farther so that we can move it to the south farther, so we can have a greater distance between the property line and the building on the north side, which would maybe allow for the cedars and things to stay. But I honestly don't know right now how wide that is. The garage, well, as I think about that, wait a second, because I know that there's some building, and this is going just basically in line with the garage as it is, so hopefully we could keep them.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking as well.
Yeah.
It didn't look like there was, the footprint of the new structure was going to be the same along that proper line, with the exception of going backwards further.
Yes, yeah, exactly. So, and I think it's mostly empty behind. I know we do have some birches at the back, and I haven't measured how far back, whether or not those birches would need to come down. But my hope is that with the slab construction, that we could disturb the roots as little as possible, and they might be fine. But I haven't measured.
Okay, that's great. Thanks. Okay, do we have any more questions? Okay, we'll move to questions for township staff. Do we have any questions? Okay, seeing no questions for township staff. Okay, Chantel, can you confirm if we have any registered delegates for or against the application?
No, we didn't receive any requests to delegate today regarding this application. And like I had previously stated, I did have some back and forth correspondence with some neighbors, but nothing formally submitted as far as objections or support of the application.
Great, thanks for confirming. Okay, we'll move to a roundtable discussion between members of the committee to discuss the application. Fernando, we'll start with you.
I don't have a particular issue with these applications. It seems reasonable. I'm very glad that we're using the existing properties in town to increase the number of rental properties. So I'll vote in favor of this application.
Okay, thank you, Fernando. Janice?
Yes, also, I can support the application as well. It is minor in nature and it generally meets the intent of the official plan and zoning. And it is providing that additional housing that is badly needed. So, so definitely I can support.
Okay, thank you, Janice. And Kathy?
I agree with Janice and Fernando. I can support this application. I would just like to include staff's recommendations also in when the application is read.
Great, thank you, Kathy. And Aaron?
I have no concerns. This seems to fit in very well with the neighborhood and no concerns from neighbors were received. I would support.
Okay, thank you, Aaron. I also agree with the other members. I'm in support of this. It's minor in nature and it's going to add to the housing supply. Chantel, can you read the decision in support of the application with those two conditions as suggested by township staff?
Yes, I can. That in the matter of application for minor variance for relief from the Township of Center Wellington zoning bylaw 2009-045 as amended, section 4.1, table 4A and 4B, permission be granted to permit an accessory apartment in a detached building with an increased floor area of 123 meters squared in lieu of the permitted maximum size of 100 meters squared. And secondly, to permit an increased maximum height of 6.5 meters in lieu of the permitted maximum height of 4.6 meters. The effect of the variance is to permit the construction of an accessory apartment in a detached accessory building on lands described as 377 Geddes Street, Plan 75, Part Lot 32, north side of Union, Township of Center Wellington, subject to the following conditions. 1, that the residential unit above a garage shall not be used for short-term accommodation. Any bed and breakfast use within the detached garage would require additional planning approval, as such use is not permitted in a detached building. And number 2, that the accessory apartment within the detached garage be limited to 123 meters squared.
Great, thank you, Chantel. Can I get somebody to move that motion? Thank you, Janice. And somebody to second? Thank you, Kathy. And all in favor by show of hands? Okay, so the motion is carried and there is a 20-day appeal period before you can move on to the next stage of your project. Thanks for your time today.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye. Okay, we'll move on to the second application on the agenda for today. This is file number A008-2022, and the property is located at 6953 Second Line, West Garafraxa. Relief is being requested to permit an accessory apartment in a detached building with an increased floor area of 110 square meters, as opposed to the permitted maximum of 100 square meters. The effect of the variance is to permit the construction of an accessory apartment in a detached building. Chantel, can you confirm that signage has been posted at the property?
Yes, I can confirm that the sign was posted in accordance with the Planning Act requirements.
Thank you. And now I'd like to ask the applicant or the agent for the applicant to speak on behalf of this request.
Yeah, I don't know if you can hear me or not.
Yes, we can.
Okay, I don't see my video up, but maybe you can't see me, but anyway, I'm here. Yeah, so we're looking for relief to allow a secondary unit dwelling on that property. I think most of the details have been laid out in the paperwork. I don't know if I need to share anything else.
Just a little bit of context, if you wouldn't mind, as to why you're seeking this request.
To put a second dwelling on for their there's a family that's helping on the farm, and they'd like to have them right there so they can help out with the chores without having to drive off the farm.
Great, perfect. Okay, I'd like to ask if any members of the committee have questions for the applicant. Okay, seeing no questions, do any members of the committee have questions for township staff? Okay, seeing no questions. Chantel, can you confirm that we have not had any registered delegates for or against the application?
That is correct. We didn't receive any request to delegate on this application, and we didn't receive any correspondence either in favor of or in support of the application.
Great, thank you for confirming. Okay, we will move to a roundtable discussion with members of the committee to discuss this request for relief. We'll start with you, Aaron.
I have no concerns. It's a generally small variance, and I don't see any possibility for negative impacts on surrounding properties.
Great, thanks, Aaron. And Kathy?
Back to coming here.
I agree with Aaron. I don't see any impact on surrounding property owners, and I think it's a minor variance, and I can support this application.
Okay, thanks, Kathy. And Janice?
Yes, I agree with Kathy and Aaron. It is minor. It's in general keeping with the OP and zoning. It's again providing for additional housing in this particular case for farm help, which is good. And I can definitely support it with the conditions as suggested by staff.
Great, thank you, Janice. And Fernando?
I do agree with the rest of the members. The only thing, so as long as the conditions recommended are met, I'm okay with this application.
Great, thanks, Fernando. I also agree with the other members. This is minor in nature, and I'm in support. Chantel, could you read the decision in support of the request with the 3 suggested recommendations from township staff?
Yes, I can. That in the matter of application for minor variance for relief from the Township of Center Wellington zoning bylaw as bylaw 2009-045 as amended, section 4.1, table 4A, permission be granted to permit an accessory apartment in a detached building with an increased floor area of 110 meters squared in lieu of the permitted and maximum size of 100 meters squared. The effect of the variance is to permit the construction of an accessory apartment in a detached accessory building on lands described as 6953 second line concession 3 South Part Lot 20, Township of Center Wellington, subject to the following conditions. 1, that the detached accessory apartment shall be located within the main building cluster as generally shown on the plan submitted with the application. Number 2, that the detached accessory apartment shall be accessed from the existing driveway and no new road entrance shall be permitted. And number 3, that the minimum distance separation guidelines be met and confirmed at time of building permit application.
Thank you, Chantel. Could I get somebody to move that motion, please? Thanks, Aaron. Somebody to second. Thank you, Fernando. And by show of hands, all in favor? Okay, the motion is carried, and you have a 20-day appeal period before you can proceed with your project. Thank you.
Thank you very much for allowing us to proceed with this. Have a good day.
You too. Okay, we'll move to the third and final application on today's agenda. This is file number A010-2022, and the property is located at 5933 Third Line in Eramosa. Relief is being requested to permit an accessory apartment in a detached building with an increased floor area of 190 square meters, as opposed to the permitted maximum size of 100 square meters. And further, to permit an increased maximum building height of 22 feet 6 inches or 6.9 meters, as opposed to the maximum permitted building height of 22 feet or 6.7 meters. And the effect of the variance is to permit the construction of an accessory apartment in a detached building. Chantel, can you confirm that signage has been posted at the property?
Yes, I can confirm the sign was posted in accordance with the Planning Act requirements for this application.
Okay, thank you for confirming. I'd like now to ask the applicant or the agent for the applicant to speak on behalf of this request.
Hi, I'm Susan Frassen, one of the owners at 5933 Third Line. Our intent is to remove the derelict steel building that was there when we purchased the property, that is falling apart, has broken windows, quite honestly is an eyesore, and replace it with a proper garage. In doing so, we also intended to put an apartment above to try and maximize the use of the property and allow for housing for our kids moving forward in life.
Great, thank you. I'd like to ask if any members of the committee have questions for the applicant. Okay, seeing no questions. Do any members of the committee have questions for township staff? Okay, seeing no questions for township staff. Chantel, can you confirm if we have any registered delegates for or against the application?
Hi, no, we didn't receive any delegations or requests for delegations on this application. I'll note that we did receive the one letter of support that was attached to the agenda from the Whitakers.
Great, thank you for confirming. Okay, we'll move to a roundtable discussion between committee members to discuss the application. Kathy, we'll start with you.
I have no issues with this application, except for the fact that it is almost double the size of what is recommended. I'm a little concerned that it's going to overshadow the existing house because it's not that much difference. That would be my only concern. Other than that, I can support the application with the conditions of staff.
Okay, thank you, Kathy. And Janice?
Yes, I agree with Kathy's comment too, that yeah, it was a little concerning that it was almost double the size. But given, you know, the idea that we are looking for additional housing, I can support it. It is meeting basically the general intent of the OP and zoning. And I would support it with the conditions as recommended by staff.
Great, thank you, Janice. And Fernando?
Yeah, I do agree with Kathy and Janice. But in my opinion, these are minor in nature, and I will approve this application.
Great, thank you. And Aaron?
Yeah, although a fairly significant increase, I don't think all accessory apartments have to be limited in size, and I think there's an appropriate context. And I agree that this is probably the right place for it, and I don't see any negative impacts on the surrounding property, so I'm in support.
Great, thanks, Aaron. I'm also in support of the application and do acknowledge as well as the other members of the committee did with regards to the size. I think any negative impacts can be, certainly mitigated due to the distance from the road to the proposed structure, as well as the fact that there aren't really any directly adjacent neighbors to the north and south of the property. So I'm in support of the application. Chantel, could you read the decision in support of the application with the 3 conditions as recommended by township staff?
Yes, I can. That in the matter of application for minor variance for relief from the Township of Center Wellington zoning bylaw 2009-045 as amended section 4.1 table 4A and 4B, permission be granted to permit an accessory apartment in a detached building with an increased floor area of 190 meters squared in lieu of the permitted maximum size of 100 meters squared. And secondly, to permit an increased maximum height of 6.7 meters in lieu of the permitted maximum height of, I think I have that wrong. Let me look at that again. Sorry. I think we were asking for 6.9 and the permitted maximum is 6.7. So I had it reversed. Sorry. The effect of the variance is to permit the construction of accessory apartment in a detached accessory building on lands described as 5933, third line, concession 3, West Part Lot 26, registered plan 61R 5285, Part 1, together with right-of-way, Township of Center Wellington, subject to the following conditions: that the detached accessory apartment shall be located within the main building cluster as generally shown on the plan submitted with the application. Number 2, that the detached accessory apartment shall be accessed from the existing driveway and no new road entrance shall be permitted. And number 3, that the minimum distance separation guidelines shall be met and confirmed at the time of building permit.
Great. Thank you, Chantal. And by show of hands, all in favor?
Just need a mover and a seconder on that.
Oh, sorry. Can I get somebody to move that motion? Thank you, Janice. Somebody to second. Thank you, Kathy. Now by show of hands, all in favor? Okay, great. The motion is carried and there's a 20-day appeal period before you can proceed with the project. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you all very much.
Okay, we'll move to discuss any other business. Chantal.
I don't have any new business other than just a reminder that next meeting, the May 19th meeting, will be in person in the council chambers at 3 p.m. And I think Fernando had already advised that he's not able to make that meeting. So let me know if it doesn't work for anybody else, and if hopefully we can maintain the quorum of 3 to go ahead. I do have 2 applications already.
That's great. I just had a question about that. What sort of health and safety protocol should we be expecting before we arrive?
To enter the building, you don't have to be masked or anything like that. So I think we'll just proceed with what is done at the township. If you guys want to, I mean, you're more than welcome to wear a mask. And then what I'm planning on doing is just spacing you out more around the circle, and then staff would sit in the gallery kind of away. Or actually up front, there's those 2, there's 2 chairs, so that we'll have enough room to space ourselves out more than adequately. And then the delegations would be sitting behind in the gallery. And then, but if anyone has any concerns they want to address directly to me, I can help answer. But yeah, right now anyone can come into the building and is not required to wear a mask. So we can't enforce mask mandates in the building, but please, if you feel comfortable wearing one and want to, we more than welcome that.
Perfect. Thanks, Chantal. Okay, if there's nothing else to discuss, we'll move to adjourn the meeting. Can I get somebody to move that motion? Thanks, Aaron, and somebody to second. Thank you, Fernando. And by show of hands, all in favor? Okay, the motion's carried. And we'll see most of you in person next month. Okay.
Thanks, everybody. Take care.
All right.